All right, let's pick up where we left off. We had this piece of acreage that we had embedded, and so you can see that when I put this in the context of the whole landscape, then I can zoom in on an area where I've put in a plane. I also have the meter plane, which is way over here on the map, which I've already put a digital elevation onto, and that's in the mountains, so that works. This other one here, the acreage nursery plane, I made much smaller, and underneath it is the image that came from QGIS, and it came from here, zoom to layer, make this 1 to 1000, and you can see it was this layer right here that we took that from. So this is what we've brought in, and we were showing that the DEM of this is so low resolution that it doesn't really make sense when you're in Blender here and you try to add the digital elevation and even smooth it. It just creates weird effects. So we're not doing much elevation on this. What is good is that we can park this if I close everything else up so you don't see anything else. We can take this plane and we can park it at a location of 0, 0, 0. So that's down on the ground. Let's look over it. And I really want to move it, although it's on the map in the right place. For our purposes, I want to create a new scene. And I'll call this scene acreage. Oops. Call this new scene acreage plane for Roblox. And then when I go back to the original scene, I want to move this plane over into that scene. So it looks like I should be able to copy it, Control C, go to the new scene, and paste it with Shift Control V, and nothing happened. All right, paste object. Well, there's pasting worked. It makes a copy of it, and it does look like it's got the origin in the wrong place. So let me go set origin to geometry. No, that didn't work. Why? Set origin to geometry. No, it's not working. Huh. Well, that's inconvenient. Let me see if I do Control A and say all transformations. There we go. That took care of that. Now when I look at it, I can move it and set its position. I can find it. Yeah, there's the center. So I want to move this over to the center here, and then actually let me go back. So before I set it, it had a location there, and that was when I still had that dot up there. So let me go and set this to 0, 0, and then zoom in on it, and now it's got that dot. So now let me make this transformation. Control A, apply all transformations. And will it now let me set the origin? No, it doesn't do it. So for whatever reason, it's got that high. And I wish I understood why. So the plane, what if I go to the plane and I say set origin to geometry? No, it won't do it there. That's probably because, I know why. Because I haven't yet put the modifier on. So let's apply the modifier. And now that it's applied, I can go set origin. Yeah, there we go. That's it. So now I can make this 0 and make this 0, and I have the plane. If I go back to the other scene, then of course it is up here where it belongs, along with the other map areas. So this map has it geographically proper in relation, say, to the meter plane, which is over here. So we can always keep one map in a scene that we have geo-referenced, but then in the next scene, I have just that one area, and I've put it in the 0, 0, 0 position, which is what we want for Roblox. So let me save this file. Now, to get it into Roblox, minimal disturbance. It does look a little ugly. So let me try to smooth this a bit more. So it is a bit rough. And perhaps that's what happens when you apply the DEM. But that unevenness, let me think about this. Maybe we should not be trying to use in something that is this small. To try to use digital elevation isn't a great idea. So I think I'm going to delete this and try that again. I'm going to go over to the scene and zoom in on it. And here we don't have that kind of bumpiness. So when I copy this with Control-C and I go to the scene and I paste it, it still looks right, but it still has the DEM information in it. I can bring it up a little bit so it's not so distorted. Look at it in here. See, that's the kind of jaggedness you get when you're putting in that slope. So it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that. And at any rate, we are going to be decimating this for export to Roblox. So we might as well at this point, seeing all that, we can, before we apply the displacement modifier, let's add a decimate modifier. And with the decimate modifier, we'll bring this radically down so that we don't have that much geometry. Let's see what 0.1 looks like. And maybe let's try, let's see what that looks like, yeah. Let's bring it down a little bit more. Let's bring it to 0.05, see what that does. So in this case, we really do want to decimate as much as we can. We have a little bit of slope information in there. So I'm going to apply this modifier. So that looks okay. And I'm going to apply this one here. And now our information is applied. And this is where I want to then take this and move it to location 0, 0, and then zoom in on it with the period key. That's great. And then I can move the origin to the geometry and then Control-A and add those transforms. That's decent. The clipping, by the way, you should always go up to View and change your clipping, clip start and clip end, so you can zoom in and out without a problem. All right, so now we have this piece, and it did again. I'm not sure why it's set origin to geometry. Sometimes when you hit all transformations, it makes it jump up again. And I think the thing to do here is to make the origin to the geometry. Select this so it's there, and then bring this up to a z value of 0. And there we go. So now I think if we do the Control-A and apply the transformation, yeah, it stays. All right, that's what we're going to be bringing into Roblox. So since we have this, then we have this selected, we're going to go to File and export it as an FBX, but we want to export it at 100th of its size. So we put 0.01 there. We can do selected objects only and no animation, and it's called no, it's not that name. This is called Ackrich Nursery QGIS. And then we'll take that and put it in the We'll put it in the exports and export that out. Now come into Roblox. And I tried this before, but it really wasn't working because I was not using this displacement method. I was using the Blender GIS to bring in web geodata as a base map. And that was really messing me up, and I didn't have it at 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to get rid of this. In fact, I'm just going to start a new file so you can see. So there's new, and I can get rid of the old one. Nope. And what I'm learning, once it comes up, what I'm learning is that you can start with, yeah, I should have done a, I want to do a new one, but I want to do it and use the template, and it's not letting me use the template. Lovely. Thanks so much for not letting me use the template. Sometimes what you have to do if you want to get the template to work is just reboot Roblox Studio, and then you have the choice of using template. And the template I suggest you use is the flat terrain. They give you base plate, classic base plate, flat terrain, and laser tag, and home store. I didn't want to do that. Sorry, no, 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 no. It's not lovely that they have that. All right, here we go again. So, nope. Let's do it again. Be careful when you're clicking buttons here. All right, so coming into Roblox Studio, we're going to go into a flat terrain, which starts as a grassy area, but it already has a terrain built into it. And with that plane, since there's no grass in what we're going to be using, I'm going to go to the terrain editor, and I'm going to say generate. I don't need to generate, do I? Mountains, water, dunes. There's no dunes there, so we're not going to generate anything. We're not going to import anything. We're going to edit, and we're going to fill this with sand and fill the whole terrain. It'll let us. Oh, that's making a new terrain. All right, well, let's see. If we were to grow it like this and like this, let's see if we can redo the terrain. And just make a new terrain for this. Let's say fill with sand. Okay, so now we got a terrain that's filled with sand, which is fine. And we can close the terrain editor. And if we then were to play the game, we would end up on sand. So that's nice. That's fun for starters. Okay, so now that we're on sand, we're going to try to bring in, oh, and I think I've got two terrains in here. Let's see. Workspace, terrain. No, just the one terrain, I guess. Okay. So I've got that terrain. Now, because that's the world, it should work, it's set to 0, 0, 0. If I now go to home, as you can see there's home, avatar, test, view, plugins, model. Back to home, there's this 3D importer, and I'm going to import now that FBX that I exported. So it's Aperture Tree QGIS that I just exported, and it was at 100th size, and there it is. So yay. So got that. Now if it didn't have a texture, then you'd have to open up the texture, the base color, and then you'd have to find the file's texture over here by clicking and finding where it is, where you saved it. But this one has it. So I'm going to import it. And it's successfully imported, and there it is on the plane. And now I have to bring it up in size to a 100 times this, because if we play this now, you don't even see the guy. Where is it? Uh-oh. So that's weird. I don't see where our plane is. If I move it, it's definitely not in the right place. So let's go to position and tell it to go to 0, 0, 0, and then zoom in on it with F to find it didn't do it. Acquisition nursery. There it is. All right, so it's underneath here and it's really tiny. I'll show you what I mean by that. Here it is, right there on the sand. And so if I actually played it now, then he falls and he's like a super giant. Also, you see it wiggling and jittering. That's because we didn't anchor it. So you need to click on anchor. Now when it plays, it's not going to jitter, but he's like really massive. And that's not what we want. So with that, we are going to have to make it bigger. So we click on it here in the workspace and open it up to get to the mesh. Click on the mesh and then go to size under transform and multiply everything by 100 by adding a 0, although I would not suggest that you do much with the y value, but let's see what it does. And let's go and put another 0 here. And now it's 100 times its size, and so it's the right size. So when we hit play, oh, that didn't work because we were in play. So let's do it again. We're in the Ackrich nursery. We go to the plane itself. We go to here and we give it a 0. We give it a 0, and we add an extra 0 there. It becomes large, and now when we hit play, he falls there, and he's actually now the right size, as you can see. Now that little star there, that star is a bit of an annoyance, and the way to get rid of that is to go back to QGIS, and I wish I'd saved the last thing because I kept that point on. So I guess it's not bad to go through the whole procedure again to get rid of the star so you can see it. So let me do it all again from the top. So I'm going to get rid of this. Bingo. And go back to my other scene where I have it there, but it's got that star in it. And I'm going to go to QGIS and redo this procedure by zooming in on the cemetery feature at 1/1000th. That star is what I'll get rid of, but that's a point that I added called cemetery feature and cemetery point and project sites, and there. Now I've gotten rid of it. It's nice to be able to have them because you can always find it again and zoom in on it. So you could do that, but I'm taking those off. And with that 1/1000th, I'm going to not copy the coordinate. I'm going to go to export map to image again, use that map extent because I've done it before on that same feature and the same size, so this should work. And come to here and find the QGIS export that I had and overwrite it. Yes, I'm going to replace it. Now I'll come into Blender, and instead of using on here the map of that, I'm going to overwrite, go back to the QGIS export, and there it is, and it's not anymore containing that dot. Save this. Now I'm going to do the copy part. I'm going to go into the next scene. I'm going to paste it into the next scene, and I'm going to click on it, and I decided to go to my displacement, and I can apply the displacement, but now I want to add a decimate modifier and look at it and see that it's really dense, and I don't want that for Roblox, so I'm going to decimate it down as far as I can without losing it. Here, I lost it, so let's see what 0.1 does. Yeah, that might work. It could be a little bit less, maybe. So let's see if I do 0.05. I think that's what I did before, 0.05. Okay, so, or maybe even more, maybe even 0.0025. Let's see what that does. We'll have to see what it looks like. Yeah, it'll work for, it still has some terrain value, but we're not really concerned about the terrain so much. Now I'm going to move its location to 0, 0, and then zoom in on it with the period key. It is underneath the world, so we will add our, apply that modifier. Now we can tell it to transform, set origin to geometry, and then move this Z to 0. There we go. And then we can Control A and apply all transforms. And now we're ready to do the export that we had done, exporting as an FBX. And we're going to overwrite this one, 0.01 it has. And there we go. And now when we come into Roblox, we're going to redo this procedure. So let's go to our workspace and let's get rid of this. Wait a minute. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to add in home. Hold on. I'm in the middle of this here. Workspace. Now it's not letting me import 3D because we're in the middle of playing the game. So let's delete this again from here. Delete it. Oh, you know what I could have done? Let me Control Z. I should be able to just replace this picture. Maybe not. That would be more complicated than just deleting it and starting over. So let's import this. Find our Acridge Nursery FBX. Bring it in. It's got no dot in it now, so we'll import it. We will successfully imported it. It is on the world now, which is good. Now we want to go and make the size 100 times this. So we go back into here and go to transform size, and as we said, we want to add a 0 to multiply by 100 there, and add a 0 there, and add a 0 there. And now it's big. Make it a little higher in the landscape. All right, and so now when we hit play, our character is the right size. But as you can see here, it definitely has slope information, which is probably way too big. And so that is not the way the real landscape would look, to have those massive valleys coming over there. So without going back into Blender to do this, I should be able to go into the sizing and get rid of that extra 0 that we put. And there, now it should work without, yeah. All right, so we have a more decent slope here. It's got a little bit of jaggedness, so maybe we'll eliminate altogether. But that's how we get it into Roblox. Thanks for watching.